Greedflation. So this too is not a proper word, but you have inflation when the price of things continually goes up. In Canada, we had really high inflation for a year. Things were becoming more expensive. Greedflation is when the price goes up, but there's no reason other than the store or the business owner is trying to make more money. And greedflation can happen when there's inflation because they think, oh, the price of everything's going up anyways. Let's charge $1 more for our apple pies or whatever it is you are selling. So you can see it is a combination of two words. Greed. Greed is when you just want lots of things. You want lots of money. You just, that's how you think. And inflation is when the price of things normally goes up over time. Deepfake. So again, these are not brand new words. These are words that I have heard and have started being used in the last year or 5 years or 10 years. Deepfake, I probably heard about 3 or 4 years ago. A deepfake is when you take someone else's face and you put it onto a photo or into a video. I'm afraid at some point there will be English lessons on the internet where people will deepfake me. So it will be a lesson I didn't make, but they'll use my face. You can see here in the far picture, that's not Tom Cruise, but in this close picture, it certainly looks like Tom Cruise. So deepfakes, relatively new term. They're kind of worrisome because we don't want people to create fake videos of important people in the world. And that's already started to happen. People will take a politician's face and create a fake video, a deep fake of them saying something they didn't actually say. The GOAT. So GOAT, of course, is what's called an acronym. So we're not actually saying Messi is a GOAT, like a billy goat. We're saying he's the greatest of all time. So G, greatest, O of A, all, T, time, greatest of all time. So when you are the GOAT, it means you are one of the best people in your sport or at work or in a certain career. Matt Damon is the GOAT. When you talk about actors, he is the greatest of all time, in my opinion. This might cause controversy. Some people don't agree with this, but I would say he certainly earned this title of being the GOAT, the greatest of all time. Generative AI. So you've probably read this term. Generative AI is artificial intelligence that creates things. Either it creates a piece of writing or a piece of or a photograph. When you look at this photograph, you can kind of tell that it was made by AI. Now, I turned up the settings when I did this, but you can see these leaves don't quite look realistic. Let's get really big on this. You can see the leaves, especially to me, look like, okay, this was made by AI. So the word generative refers to, it is generating, okay? So it's generating something. And that is probably just in the last couple of years, we've started to see this term a lot more. Tiny house. So this is one that's probably more like 10 years old. A tiny house is a really, really small house, and it's usually built on a trailer. So it's not like a camper trailer. It's an actual house. I picked a bad picture though. If you look behind the chair, you can just see that there are wheels. So a tiny house is a tiny, tiny house on wheels that you can park somewhere and you can live in. There was actually a tiny house on my property for a while. If you look back 2 years, you'll see that my son had a tiny house and he lived on my property in his tiny house. So a tiny house, again, this isn't like a camper trailer that you take to campgrounds, you know, like a white camper. This is an actual house that you can live in year round, but it's usually built on a trailer, so you can move it if you need to. It doesn't have to be on a trailer, but most of the times when I think of tiny house, and there are TV shows about these as well. You can watch shows like, I think it's called Tiny House Living or something like that, where they show you different